Part 18. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Lugo Meyer. Chapter 171. Chapter 171 Collective Advancement Success. Because of this incident, no one dared to take any chances with the Mukinjian beast anymore. 3 years later, Nangang Yuren and Si Yunkin reached the peak of the purple level. They were able to advance so quickly because their contracted spiritual pets were upgraded to divine beasts, thus speeding up their cultivation. In the past 3 years, Han Yexuan reappeared in the ancient world of gods. She turned her thoughts into the motivation for cultivation, but she never had the chance to enter the ancient world of gods. This scene surprised everyone. Her strength was something no one in the sect could beat. In order to test Mukinjian's strength, all the strong men in the sect attacked her, but in the end, they were no match for her. Her strength is so terrifying that she can kill a strong man at the peak of the purple level with one move. Logically speaking, she should have entered the god realm long ago. A few months later, when Si Yunkin and Nangang Yuren broke through to the peak of the purple level, the thunder catastrophe they caused was more terrifying than that of Ji Yuan, the ancestor of Xianyue. This scene shocked everyone. In fact, the main problem came from their mythical beast. At this time, their divine beasts had come out to go through the thunder tribulation with them, and people from Nangang and the Si family rushed to Xianyuman. It is their children who are going through the tribulation now, so they are more anxious than anyone else. Mukinjian touched the ring on her finger. She knew that it was this ring that prevented her from entering the ancient world of gods. She suddenly thought that she had not transcended the tribulation, so she would blend into their tribulation and blend into the ancient world of gods with them. When the thunder tribulation came down, she got into the group of Nangang Yuren and Si Yunkin's queen. They looked at her with surprise on their faces. "Xiao Qinjian, what are you doing?" She smiled and said, "Though it's a thunderstorm, I'll see if I have to go to the ancient realm of gods today. What can the heavens do to me?" The two looked at each other and smiled. "Okay, if we can, we will take you to the ancient world of gods today." Everyone looked at the three of them and wondered if they were crazy. How could two people's Leiji sneak into the third person? This bold act simply shocked the onlookers present, and there are still people who do it like this. Thunderstorms struck the three people one after another. This terrifying scene was as terrifying as the ancestor Xianyu's tribulation. The thunderstorms struck several people and injured them. They only need to withstand one thunder catastrophe, and she needs to withstand 2 thunder catastrophes. No matter how strong she was slightly injured, but she could still persevere. When the last thunderstorm struck, Mukinjian knew that this time, she would need to withstand a stronger thunderstorm. "Yuran, Yunqian, please hold on, we agreed to go to the ancient realm of gods together." Nangang Yuren smiled and said, "Xiao Qinjian, I can hold on. We are the strongest trio. Today we will let the heaven know how powerful we are." Si Yunkin looked at them with firm eyes. "We will succeed, and we must succeed." Everyone watched the scene nervously, not daring to express their anger. It was so thrilling. The last lightning strike struck the three people, and everyone was so flashed that they closed their eyes. The moment they opened their eyes again, the three of them succeeded. The two of them looked at her happily. "Qinjian, you have succeeded too. We can go to the ancient world of gods together." People from the Nangang family and the Si family looked at them excitedly, and they waved to them one after another. Nangang Yuren said sadly, "Grandpa, parents, you have to take care of yourselves. I will definitely come back to see you." Si Yunkin smiled and said, "Grandpa and Grandma, take care of yourselves. We will all be fine and wait until we come back to see you." Mukinjian waved her hand. "Senior brother, I have a lot of treasures hidden in my house. Remember to get them." The head brother's face darkened. "I know, junior sister, can you tell me secretly next time?" Don't you want everyone to know that you have a treasure in your house? Making the three of them laugh, and two of them nodded to him. Master, we are leaving, please take good care of yourself. Yunkin and Nangang Yuran each took one of Mukinjian's hands and disappeared into the air with her. Everyone knew that they had entered the divine world. Muyuxiao looked at the three disappeared people and left with a determined look on his face. He was in no hurry, because he knew that one day he would follow her. Luo Yuling knew that she had completely lost Muyuxiao. She was only at the peak of the blue level, but he was already at the late purple level. It won't be long before he, Muyuxiao, will leave the realm of the ancient gods, and she will never be able to step into the realm of the ancient gods in this life. When Mukinjian opened her eyes again, she found that she was lying on a huge white cloud. She brought Dandan, Bingfeng, and Juhu out. The three spiritual pets looked at everything in front of them with happy faces. Master, is this the god realm? The spiritual power here is completely different from the immortal realm. It feels so comfortable. Nangang Yuran was stuck in two white clouds, with only 2 feet exposed. Yunkin saw it and quickly pulled him out. He spat out the cloud in his mouth. I thought this was edible, but it tasted nothing. You think this is candy? Mukinjian looked at the two of them and said, okay, you two, get up quickly. This should be the ancient realm of the gods. Let's go down first. The two of them stood up and walked beside her. The three of them flew in the air for a long time before they saw a huge palace floating in the sky in the distance. The three of them stood outside the palace and stepped onto the ladder step by step. When they reached the gate of the palace, several guarding door gods stopped them. Whoever is coming, please tell me his name. Yunkin said politely, I am Yunkin, he is Nangang Yuran, and this is Mukinjian. The three of us have just entered the divine realm today. Please tell us what we should do. The door nodded, you are the three new gods who took office today. Keep walking until you reach the main palace, and someone will receive you. Okay, thank you for your hard work. When the three of them arrived at the main palace gate, an old man with a white beard looked at them with a smile on his face. You are the three new gods. Congratulations on coming to the god realm. I am Master Tianyuan. Yunkin nodded and said, may I ask if Master Tianyuan knows Si Nanju? Or Ji Yuan? Master Tianyuan's face changed slightly, and then he smiled, how could I not know them? Si Shenzhen is the elder of the god realm. God Ji Zhen is also working under the Supreme Lord now. How could I not know them, old gods? Who are they? Yunkin smiled and said, Si Nanju is my ancestor, and Ji Yuan is our ancestor. Can we see them? Genren Tianyuan nodded, since you are all acquaintances of Si Shenzhen, then come with me. I will take you to find them. Si Nanju was discussing things when he was told that a new little from the immortal ancient realm was looking for him. He looked at Yu Minjai with a blank expression, who is looking for me? I don't know anyone from the immortal ancient realm. It's really strange. Yu Minjai said coldly, is it because your children are looking for you? This will be difficult. Si Nanju glared at him and said, what are you doing blindly? I am also very self-conscious, let me go and have a look. Yu Minjai followed him and headed to the main hall together. Genren Tianyuan looked respectful after seeing them. Hello, two gods. These three little gods came from the ancient realm of immortals and said they know you. They have been delivered safely, and the little gods will go back first. Si Nanju waved his hand and said, okay, Master Tianyuan, please go back first. They will be left to me. Thanks to Luru Abinjian for sending me a monthly ticket, thank you for your support. End of this chapter. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 172. Chapter 172, First Arrival in the Ancient World of Gods. Si Nanju looked up and down at the two men and one woman, but he didn't recognize them. If any of you are looking for me, you have something to do with me. Si Yunkin looked at the young man in front of him with a confused expression. That deity, are you Si Nanju, Si Nan's son? Si Nanju's expression changed. How do you know my father's name and who are you? When he sees that he admits it, he can be sure that he is the person the ancestor said. Ancestor, I am Si Yunkin, a descendant of the Si family. He was completely shocked. How could he become his ancestor? Didn't the Si family perish not long after I left? I am the only son in the Si family, so how can I be the descendant of the Si family? Si Yunkin quickly explained, after you left thousands of years ago, the Si family did have only one son, you, but in the year before you disappeared, your mother had long been pregnant with your brother. I entrusted the child to a subordinate before, and your brother is my ancestor. The ancestor lived in another place with the surname Si, and it only took 100 years for the Si family to reappear in the eyes of the world. Si Nanja never thought that he had a younger brother living in the ancient world. He thought that no one would remember Si Nanja wherever he was. He never thought that he still had relatives alive. He looked sad. Then is my brother still there now? Si Yunkin shook his head regretfully. My ancestor was killed by thieves when he advanced thousands of years ago, so he left. His face turned pale. Okay, I understand, you stay here with me first. I will find all the ways for you, and no one will bully you when I am here. As Yu Minjai left, he glanced at Mu Qingjian. This woman's mask looked similar to Xian's. The three of them were arranged in Si Nanja's divine mansion. Ji Yuyuan immediately rushed back when he learned that they had arrived in the divine realm. He was very excited after seeing her. Disciple, you have arrived in the God realm so quickly. You too must be Chu Feng's disciples. You are quite amazing. Mu Qingjian looked at the handsome master in front of her and the bad old man before. They were completely two different people. Are you Ji Yuyuan, my master? He touched his face and said, haha, don't you recognize me, master? I used to be quite young, but I had a thicker beard. You are completely transformed. Who can imagine that the bad old man you once looked like is the same person as the handsome young man you are now? Nangong Yuran nodded at the side. Ancestor, are you growing in reverse? Ji Yuyuan's eyes looked disgusted. Go away, who can't look young and handsome? I've always looked like this, but I just didn't like the trouble, so I used a magic device to pretend to be that way. Now they understood that the old man was indeed a handsome man. Si Yunkin coughed slightly. The ancestor was indeed the most beautiful man in the immortal realm 100 years ago. No wonder he needs to disguise himself. Ji Yuyuan smiled and said, Loki, you haven't been assigned to the divine mansion yet, do you want to stay with me for a few days? Nangong Yuran glanced at Si Yunkin and said, Lazuqian has found his ancestor. Si Shenzhen is his ancestor. We are temporarily staying with Si Shenzhen. He nodded. That's okay, it's not as safe here as you think, so be careful. Remember not to run around and be careful to offend other great gods, you know. She looked at him and said, Master, do you know Han Yexuan? Ji Yuyuan's expression changed. How can you pronounce Tianzun's name? You may be caught and kicked out of the god realm. Mu Qingjian smiled and said, I finally found him. Where is he now? I want to go see him. That disciple, Tianzun, is not something we can see if we want to see him. How do you know Tianzun's name? He was surprised to know that his apprentice came to the ancient world of gods for the first time, so how could he know Tianzun's name? Nangong Yuran pulled her and said cautiously, Xiao Qing your husband-in-law can't be this Tianzun. Mu Qingjian took out a photo from the space. She took it with her mobile phone in modern times. Of course, there is also the front face, which is him wearing a mask. Ji Yuyuan took this strange thing, and the people above could clearly see that it was Tianzun himself. The mask on his face and his exposed eyes, except for the clothes on his body, made it obvious that he was Tianzun. He raised his head and asked with surprise, "Where did you get this thing? Why is it exactly the same as Tianzun?" Nangang Yuran and Si Yunqian walked over and took a look. When he saw the vivid person above, he was the husband-in-law that Mu Qingjian was talking about. At this glance, he knew that he was not an ordinary person. She took the photo back and said, "Master, I came here to find him. Please take me to meet him." That disciple, "It's not that I don't want to take you, Master, but it's not that easy for me to see Tianzun at my current level. But Si Shenzun and Yu Shenzun can take you to see Tianzun at any time. After all, they are Tianzun's subordinates. At the same time, he is also a close friend of Tianzun." She nodded and smiled, "It's okay, Master, I understand. I'll find Si Shenzun later." Ji Yuyuan handed the artifact to them. "These artifacts are for you. You must protect your uncle, okay?" The two took the artifact and said, "Okay, ancestor, we understand. Then you stay here with Si Shenzun, and I'll go get busy. I'll come back to you tomorrow." The three of them watched him leave in a hurry, not knowing what he was going to do. Si Yunqian said doubtfully, "Qingjian, are you sure Tianzun is the person you are looking for? I want to take a look to know if it's the person I'm looking for. Even though I'm here, I have to take a look to find out." The three of them were arranged by several maids in quiet rooms in the palace. By the time Si Nanju appeared again, it was already the next day. He looked at the three of them and said, "You should have a good rest yesterday. If you need anything, just ask the maids to send it to you." Si Yunqian looked respectful and said, "Ancestor, we all had a good rest yesterday. I just want to ask Ancestor for help with something." "Oh, what's the matter, let's see." Mu Qingjian walked out. "I want to meet a person, his name is Han Yexuan." Yu Minjai put down the teacup in his hand and said with sharp eyes and a stern tone, "Who are you? Why do you know this name? Who sent you here?" "My name is Mu Qingjian, no one sent me here, I'm just looking for my lover." Si Nanju looked her up and down and slowly stood up from his seat. "You are Mu Qingjian, you found yourself here, you are quite good." Yu Minjai sneered, "It's you, a human woman, who caused him to get hurt, and you still want to see him. It's really ridiculous." When she heard that Han Yexuan was injured, her face became nervous. "He is injured? Where is he now? Please take me to see him." "So he hasn't come to see me in the past 3 years because he was injured. He was injured and he couldn't even take care of him. He couldn't do anything to help him, but he got hurt instead." She fell into self-blame, looked sad, and silently returned to her room. Si Nanju and Yu Minjai watched her leave with a disappointed look on her face, and somewhat understood why she left again if she didn't want to see Han Yexuan. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 173. Chapter 173 Sold himself. After Mu Qingjian left, the two went to his temple to visit him. But the two of them did not speak, but drank the divine tea leisurely. Seeing that they didn't say anything for a long time, Han Yexuan asked curiously, "Tell me. Why are you so strange today? If you have anything to say, just tell me. I don't think you just come to my place to drink tea. Don't you, drink like gap tea?" Si Nanju put down the teacup in his hand and asked, "Xian, are you feeling better recently? It's not like you to come here and hesitate for a long time just to ask me if I'm okay." "I'm fine." Yu Minjai said coldly from the side, "Did you know? Today, 3 new gods came to the god realm at the same time, 2 boys and 1 girl. In fact, there is a girl named Mu Qingjian." Han Yexuan's face changed slightly after hearing this. Qing'er is coming up. It's impossible. With her current strength, there's no way she can come up. When the two of them heard it, they found out that they were indeed the ones he loved. Nanja smiled and said, with her strength, she really can't come up. After all, her ring suppresses her strength. I remember that you spent a lot of effort to find that ring. It turns out that you have already arranged it for her. Way to go. Now that she has arrived in the God realm, what are you going to do? If they know that you have someone you care about, she will definitely become your weakness. Yu Minjai continued with a cold attitude. Han Yexuan rubbed his temples and smiled helplessly. I already knew about this, so I used the ancient divine ring to suppress her strength. I just didn't expect that she would be so smart and use her two companions to enter the divine realm together when they were going through the tribulation. Nanju looked at him with a sigh. Then what are you going to do now? Now that she has entered the God realm, it breaks your original plan. I will take the three of them under my door to protect her. After all, they will not touch her easily as long as they are placed here with me. Yu Minjai nodded. Well, this is all we can do for now. You have a good rest. Now that you are in good health, don't let those old immortals know that you are seriously injured, otherwise you will be in trouble again. When the two left, he released the dark flame. Dark flame, Qing'er is here, and you have been responsible for protecting her recently. Dark flame transformed into a 15-year-old boy. I received the master. I will go over first, and you take care of yourself. After Mu Qingjian on the other side returned to the room, she did not come out again until Mu Yinhan woke up in the space. He came out of the space and saw her sad look. Mom, what's wrong with you? Xiaoyan, you're awake. I'm fine. I feel so weak. He hugged her and said, Mom, you are already very powerful. I have seen your practice in the past few years. Let's go see Daddy. Xiaoyan will take you to find him. Okay, I want to go see him. Xiaoyan, how are we going to find him? At this time, Yan came to Nanja's temple. When he felt the aura of his wife, he jumped in excitedly. Daughter-in-law, I'm here. Mu Yinhan was hugged tightly by the sudden appearance of the dark flame. He looked at the strange dragon and broke away from his arms. Who are you? You are calling someone's wife, don't you see that I am a pure man? Han Yan looked at the small him, and he looked a little longer than when he first saw him. Daughter-in-law, it's been so long, how come you've only grown so little? You still look like a little baby. Mu Qingjian looked at him with doubts. Did you say smolder? Dim Yan hugged Mu Yinhan and said with a smile, it's been a long time, mistress. You've become beautiful again, as beautiful as my wife. Why have you grown so big? Weren't you just a little kid before? He coughed violently. Ahem, that mistress, that's because I was suppressed in that world. This is what I really look like, isn't it also very handsome? That's what he looks like, he's quite handsome. Mu Yinhan pushed him away and jumped down. Not handsome at all, not as handsome as me. And I'm not your wife, where did you come from? And Yan looked aggrieved and said, Daughter-in-law, my mistress betrothed you to me when you were just born. You are already my dragon wife. If you don't believe me, you can see my dragon pattern on your forehead. He quickly stood in front of the mirror and looked at his forehead. Sure enough, he had the dragon pattern of his dragon companion. Mother, you betrothed me to him. Mu Qingjian was a little at a loss. I'm not sure about that. How about you guys talk about it first, and if it's not suitable, then think about the future. After all, you are still young, so you are not in a hurry now. Han Yan giggled, that's right. Wife, you are still young. You will know when you grow up. He glared at him and said, it doesn't matter who my wife is. When I grow up, I will definitely be better than you and taller than you. Hmm, okay, but you are not as powerful as me now, so you are still my wife. Mu Qingjian saw the dark flames appearing, which meant that Xian knew that he was coming. Did Xian ask you to come to that dark flame? Where is he now? Is he okay? Dim Flame hugged his wife. Mistress, the master was a little injured, nothing serious. Mistress, do you need me to take you to see him? May I? It should be okay. The master didn't say not to let me take you to him. Come on, mistress, I will take you to find the master. After saying that, he hugged Mu Yinhan and led the way, and she quickly followed him. She soon arrived at a large and sacred temple, and then passed through a series of doors before arriving at a quiet little house that was like a fairyland. Dim Flame pointed to the room. Mistress, the master is resting inside. You go in. I'll take my wife to eat something delicious, and we'll leave first. Mu Yinhan pouted dissatisfiedly. Did I say I would go with you? I want to be with my mother, and I don't want to be with you. He lowered his head and whispered, Daughter-in-law, there are many strange and delicious spiritual plants in my house, as well as all kinds of shiny treasures. The spiritual plants include Dragon Emperor Ginseng, Red Blood Dragon Blood Grass, and Ice and Fire Dragon Scales. Bones, oops. There are so many that I can't even remember them. Wife, are you sure you don't want to take a look or taste them? That's such a pity. I've left all these good things for you to eat. You don't care. He swallowed, turned to Mu Qingjian and said, Mom, I'll go play with him. You and Daddy have a good chat, and I'll be back soon. What's that dark flame? Let's go now. With a doting look in his eyes, Yan said, Okay, wife, I'll take you there right away. Hold me tight and let's set off. Looking at their leaving figures, Mu Qingjian shook her head helplessly. What a snack. He just sold himself out. Mu Yinhan also slowly got on the pirate ship and sold himself in this way, which will make him miserable when he becomes an adult in the future. Every time he thought about being abducted by Dark Flame to become his wife, he thought about going over there and beating himself up. End of this chapter. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 174. Chapter 174 I don't want to be a burden. Mu Qingjian opened the door and saw a familiar figure on the bed. At this time, she couldn't control herself and walked over slowly. As if sensing her presence, the man quickly opened his eyes and turned over to sit up. He looked at her with such affectionate eyes, but when he saw the remorseful and distressed look on her face, he smiled distressedly. Qing-er, you're here. She looked at his haggard face with grievance and distress. What do you want me to do to you? Why didn't you tell me when you were hurt? Do you think I am a burden to you? So you didn't tell me anything, Han Yexuan, do you care about my feelings? Do you know? Telling nothing like this makes me feel like a loser. Do you know what I'm thinking? I feel like we're not suitable for each other. I don't want to see you get hurt because of me again and again. I want to do something for you that I can do so that I feel like I'm not a waste. Han Yexuan stood up and stretched out his hands to hug her tightly. Qing-er, I'm sorry, I love you more than myself. I can't see you being hurt in any way, that's why I'm so selfish. And my Qing-er is great because you worked hard to be by my side. I am happy and happy. Mu Qingjian lay in his arms, tears streaming down her face. You have said that you love me more than you love yourself, so you should know that I am not like this. So I hope you will stop doing this, otherwise I will really ignore you in the future. Promise me, don't stop because of me. If you get hurt, I'll feel bad too. Okay, I won't do it anymore, Qing-er, I love you. She raised her head and looked at him with affectionate eyes, her cheeks slightly red. Xian, I love you too. He held her in his arms again and kissed her red lips, wishing to possess all the beauty of her. This night, the two of them hugged each other, and he still insisted on his responsibility and did not touch her. He said that he wanted to have everything about her when he married her. This was the highest love he could give her. But seeing his uncomfortable look, Mukingjian was moved and heartbroken, so she said shyly, "Xian, that, do you want me to help you solve it?" As soon as she said this, she no longer dared to look directly at his face. This was really shameful. Although she has never done it, she is a half-modern person who has gone to school. She had never eaten pork and had seen pigs run away, so she naturally knew what was causing him to feel so uncomfortable. Han Yexuan swallowed his dry throat and said in a hoarse and low voice, "Qing do you know what you are talking about?" "I know, but it will make you feel uncomfortable." "I don't want to see you feel uncomfortable." He sighed helplessly and hugged her. "Sleep, don't say such words in the future, or I will eat you now." Mukingjian was so frightened that she couldn't move and quickly closed her eyes to sleep. While she was sleeping, his hand gently tapped her forehead, and she fell into a deep sleep. He disappeared on the bed, came to an ice spring, took off his coat, and walked in. Yu Minjai appeared in front of him and looked at his slightly red face. "You can't hold it in much of the night, so you need to come here to relieve your anger. It seems that you really love her so much that you would rather feel uncomfortable than touch her. You will know later, when you learn to fall in love with someone, you will understand how I feel now. Forget it. I don't want to touch love. I don't want to be like you." Han Yexuan slowly stood up and put on clean clothes. "I hope so. They haven't done much recently." He said expressionlessly, "It's nothing, but the Banshee King is dead, and now the demon world has been annexed by the demon realm. It seems that Bai Yushin deliberately approached the Banshee King in order to annex the demon world and unify the two worlds. It's just a boundary." Han Yexuan sat on the stone ice jade chair in the pavilion, took out the tea set from the space, and poured a cup of divine tea for himself and him. Really? His ambition is still so big. Does he want to unify the three realms? He took the tea and took a sip. "Do you think he can unify the three realms? The ghost realm is not as stupid as the demon king in the demon realm. It is not that easy for him, Bai Yushin, to unify the three realms of demons, and ghosts. What is his purpose? This makes me very curious. No matter what his purpose is, as long as it doesn't threaten our god realm, you will know what you want to do soon." Yu Minjai took another sip of tea and gently put down the cup. "If you keep Mukingjian by your side, you will definitely attract attention. Especially by Suiyu, the daughter of Baishan Tianzun, who loves you. She is not as kind and friendly as she looks on the outside. In addition, Baishan Tianzun has always had unintentional thoughts. Let you marry her daughter. No one can force me to marry someone I don't want to marry, not even the original God can tolerate me. Well, I will help you. We are brothers. I hope she is worthy of how much you have paid for her." Han Yexuan smiled and said, "She is very good. One day you will realize how good she is and you will know that she is worthy of what I do." Yu Minjai stood up and said, "I hope so. You have a good rest, I will go back first." He is now becoming more and more curious about Mukingjian, a girl from the human world. What ability does she have that can make Han Yexuan, who has always been steady, give everything for her regardless of the consequences? When Mukingjian woke up again, she saw that the people around her were no longer there. She got up and came to the hall room. There was a bowl of porridge on the table and she left a note. "Qing I have to go out for something. You can wait for me at home. Here are the clothes I prepared for you. I hope you like them." She put the note into the space and happily ate the love breakfast he cooked. After eating, her whole body felt warm. "When you have something to eat, open this box of clothes." He took out a piece of clothing and went back to the room to change. Dandan, Bingfeng, and Juhu looked at her with obsessed smiles. Juhu said in an appreciative tone, "Master, You look like a fairy in this dress. It's like a fairy descending to earth. Dandan kicked it away and said, my master is already a fairy now, you bastard, can you praise me? Juhu gritted his teeth and said, Erden, you dare to kick me. Dandan raised his two paws, assuming a helpless posture. Oops. I'm sorry, I'm conditioned to react. I guess it's because you are too fat and need a spanking. You idiot, who do you want to call Japang? My name is Juhu. Eggy snickered with a sharp mouth, it's just 9 fatty. He can hit me if he can. Haha, if he can't hit me, he can bite me if he can. I'm just that strong. Juhu could no longer bear it and bit it on the butt. He was so angry that he bit the egg directly. Damn Japang, you actually bite me. Oops, you bit my hair. Are you in the period of shedding? Mukinjian looked at them fighting and ignored them, as long as they didn't cause trouble anyway. Bingfeng flew outside and watched the scene of their play, acting as the commander on the side. It was so lively. They were fighting and they came to the temple. Juhu directly bumped into a woman. This farce ended like this. End of this chapter. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 175. Chapter 175. 3 spiritual pets are in trouble. Bai Suiyu was holding the 9 fox in her hand. She didn't expect that Han Tianzun would have a white fox beast here. Could it be given to her? It must be known that it will be her birthday in a few days. She smiled and hugged Juhu. Little guy, are you the birthday gift that brother Xian prepared for me? You know I have always wanted a white fox, a mythical beast. Juhu broke free from her restraints and jumped down. I already have a master who is much prettier than you. I am not your birthday gift. When Bai Suiyu heard what it said, her expression immediately changed. Better looking than me. Brother Xian, another woman has appeared here. Juhu ignored her and was about to leave. As a result, she directly caught him with a fairy rope, tied him into a ball and threw him on the ground. Dandan and Bingfeng saw it in the distance and immediately ran over to save it. She failed to react in time and was directly scratched on the face by Dandan. She immediately became furious. Ah! You beasts, you dare to resist me and hurt my face. I will arrest you all. Dandan and Bingfeng cooperated very well. Bai Suiyu could not defeat them by herself, but was left in a miserable state. Bingfeng picked up Juhu and said, let's go quickly, this woman is going crazy. Dandan smiled evilly, just wait a minute, I'm going to show off my unique skills. Bingfeng held Juhu in her mouth with a look of helplessness. What a unique skill, we are leaving soon, my eye seal won't be able to seal her for long. Eggy shook his and said, don't worry. I'm almost ready. After saying that, he pointed his towards her face and farted loudly, bad woman, you're welcome to eat my invincible fart bomb. Juhu was caught in the ice phoenix's mouth. When she saw that Dandan gave her a loud fart, she was so excited that she wanted to applaud. However, her hands and feet were tied up, and she shouted loudly, you did a good job, you stinky, how could she dare to tie me up? Haha, I can't help but stun you to death, you bad woman. She had just unblocked the ice, and a huge black gas was discharged in front of her. The smell was so bad that Bai Suiyu's face turned black and she vomited wildly on the spot. Ah, I'm going to kill you. However, the 3 little guys had already escaped, and there was no trace of them. When the prodigies who were guarding the gate saw her like this, they wanted to laugh but couldn't. The 2 of them were holding it in so much that their faces turned red and tears flowed out. Bai Suiyu stared at them with wide eyes, you 2 didn't help me when you saw me being bullied. Just wait and see, I won't let you go. He put down his harsh words and ran away. He returned to the White God Temple and saw the White God Heavenly Lord. She had a crying face and wanted him to run away. Dad, someone bullies me, woo woo. Hai Shen Tianzun looked at the dark face in front of him. His face was dirty from crying. Coupled with her messy hair and tattered clothes, she might have thought she was a beggar. If he hadn't identified Bai Suiyu from her voice and body shape, he would have almost thrown this crazy woman out. Bai Suiyu threw herself into his arms and burst into tears. Dad, 3 beasts bullied me, and Brother Xian's prodigies watched me being bullied by them. You, Dad, you have to avenge me. Hai Shen Tianzun was so stifled by the strange smell that she almost died on the spot, so he quickly sealed off his sense of smell. He patted her back and said, "Don't cry, why did you end up like this?" She told him everything, and Bai Shen Tianzun's face turned black with anger. "Okay, Dad knows, go and clean up quickly. Dad will take you back to settle the accounts with them. A few beasts dare to bully my daughter. They simply don't know how to live or die." Bingfeng looked at Zhu who was into a knot. "We can't untie this thing, what should we do?" The egg pulled hard. "What the is this? It keeps biting and burning, and it burns and burns. It's so tough." Zhu fell to the ground, looking uncomfortable. "I don't want to be like this forever. How about we go back to find the master?" Bingfeng picked up Zhu in his mouth. "This is all we can do for now, let's go back to find the master." On the way back, he met Han Yexuan. Dandan quickly flew over after seeing him. "Master, please save 9 fatty, he is with a golden rope." Han Yexuan saw 3 of their spiritual pets, among which Bingfeng held a 9 fox tied into a twist. "What did you do? How come you were with a fairy rope?" Dandan quickly explained, "Master, the 3 of us were playing, and Zhu Pang accidentally met a bad woman. She said that Zhu Pang was a gift from Brother Xian, and then Zhu Pang said that it was not her gift and that it had an owner. And said that the heroine was prettier than her. Then the bad woman got angry and Zhu fat, and we managed to save Zhu fat." Si Nanja took Zhu from Bingfeng's hand and untied the fairy rope for it. "Xian, this little guy is actually a 9-tailed white fox beast. It seems that your little wife is very lucky." Yu Minjai looked at them coldly. "They must have offended Bai Suiyu. They caused big trouble on the first day they came to your place. How are you going to deal with them?" Dandan and Bingfeng knew that they seemed to be causing trouble, so they immediately stood back obediently. Si Nanju looked at Dandan and Bingfeng, and said with some surprise, "This black dog is actually a demon dog, and this bird is also an ancient ice phoenix, tisk tisk, so many rare spiritual pets are really jealous." Dandan didn't dare to refute even if he was called a black dog. After all, the person in front of him was very powerful, so he didn't dare to be shy in front of the boss. As expected, Bai Suiyu soon came with her father Baishan Tianzun. When she saw Zhu and the others, she gritted her teeth and said, "Dad, it was these 3 beasts who hurt me." The 3 mythical beasts hurriedly hid behind Han Yexuan because they sensed that the bad woman's father was very powerful. Si Nanju looked at the empty hands. He was stroking the fur of the 9-tailed white fox just now, but she was scared away. "Yo, Baishan Tianzun, why are you here?" Baishan Tianzun snorted coldly, "Are these spiritual pets your spiritual pets? What's the matter, yes or no?" "What's the matter, Baishan Tianzun, why are you looking for these 3 spiritual pets?" He slammed the table hard and said, "Leave them to me. They hurt my Schwerer, so I have to give an explanation." Han Yexuan glanced at Bai Suiyu, "You just caught them first. Isn't it normal for them to resist you? You blamed them first." Bai Suiyu said aggrievedly, "Brother Xian, I thought this 9-tailed white fox was the birthday gift you planned to give me. I didn't know it was Brother Zhu's spiritual pet. Don't call me that. There are differences between men and women. We are not mature enough to give you a mythical beast." Si Nanja got goosebumps when she called her brother Zhu. Is this woman really stupid or just pretending to be stupid? It's so nice that he is younger than her, but he still looks like an older brother. It's really unbearable. That white goddess, don't call me brother Jew, I'm 500 years younger than you. Bai Suiyu blushed instantly, I'm sorry Si Shenzhen, I didn't know you were so young. Haha, just don't call me that way next time, it's a bit overwhelming. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly became awkward. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 176. Chapter 176 Accept her as your disciple personally. Beishan Tianzun's face turned dark instantly, it doesn't matter who is older or younger now. I want to say how you are going to handle this matter. Han Tianzun, do you also think it is right for the three spiritual pets to bully you or? Han Yexuan rubbed Zhuhu's head with his hand, what did they do wrong? After all, they only acted in legitimate defense to protect themselves, so why did they do anything wrong? He looked furious, you are so ruthless in protecting three beasts and not caring about yours grievances. Who cares? Who am I to help? She is being bullied by three spiritual pets. I'm afraid no one will believe her if she tells her. Beishan Tianzun was so angry that he waved up his sleeves and said, okay, I hope you can keep an eye on these three beasts. Let's go, Yu. Bai Suiyu looked at Han Yexuan reluctantly, Brother Xian. She wanted to say something else, but was pulled back by Beishan Tianzun. He couldn't afford to lose his face. After returning home, he said to her angrily, from today on, you stay away from him, do you know? She complained unwillingly, Dad, I like him, how can you tell me to stay away from him? Dad, shouldn't you help me get closer to him? What are you relying on? Stay away from him from now on. I want to see how he falls from his high position. Beishan Tianzun looked fierce. Bai Suiyu was so scared that she didn't dare to say anything. After all, she was also scared when her father got angry. Yu Minjai looked at them and said, what do you think about offending Beishan Tianzun because of them? Han Yexuan chuckled, he doesn't really dare to take action. He knows that these three spirits are protecting me. Si Nanja stood up and said, okay, this matter is over. Today is the Emperor of Heaven's birthday banquet, and there will probably be another good show. By then, all the gods will participate, including the three new gods yesterday. They must also arrive at the scene and assign the master. Well, when the time comes, you accept Si Yunkin as your disciple. After all, that Si Yunkin is a descendant of your Si family. Yu Minjai put down his wine glass and said, he is everyone else's ancestor now, which is good. Si Nanja frowned nicely, come on. It feels like you are gloating about others' misfortune. What are you going to do about Nangong Yuran and Mukinjian? Leave them with me as well. He shook his head, it's enough for you to accept a new god. Nangong Yuran will be placed next to Yet. I will personally accept Qing'er as my disciple, so that if ordinary people dare to touch her, she will be afraid of me and will not dare to do anything easily. Yu Minjai put down his wine glass and said, you suddenly accepted a disciple, and you are not afraid of causing them to misunderstand, thus hastening their attack on her. Don't be afraid, only when you put her next to me will I feel at ease. Well, it's up to you, her strength is not bad now. At night, while she was still practicing, the three little guys came back sneakily. She slowly opened her eyes and asked, why did you go there? How come you were there for so long? You didn't do anything bad, right? Zhuhu said with a playful smile, Master, where did we go to do bad things? We just went to play and came back when we met the Master. That's good. Even if you come to the God realm, you can't forget to practice. The three of you have to practice hard. You see how hard Xing Chen works, and now his strength has surpassed you, so don't keep thinking about it. After all, we are new to God. In this world, we are not as powerful as others, and anyone can bully us. 3 spiritual pets quickly came to her side. We know the master, let's practice well now. Mukinjian rubbed their heads. Only if you are strong, you will not be bullied by others. I hope you don't think that I am forcing you to practice. Bingfeng came to her face and rubbed her skin with his head. Master, we won't blame you for being harsh on us. After all, you are doing it for our own good. Eggy held her hand. That's right. The master is so kind, we are very happy to be his spiritual pets. Juhu lay in her arms and said happily, Master, we must be strong together, so that no one will dare to bully us. She was very pleased that they were all sensible. I am very lucky to have you by my side, and we will work hard together. Good master, we will always be by your side. At this time, Nangang Yuran and Si Yunkin came to her residence. She saw the two of them dressed up completely, giving them a fairy-like feeling. You look a bit like gods when you dress like this. The clothes are of good quality. Nangang Yuran patted his clothes. This clothes was just given to me by my master. This clothes is a protective magic weapon. I decided to worship Yushenzun as my master. Qinta also worshipped Sishenzun as his master. Okay, so Xiao Qinjian, who do you want to join? Must I become a disciple? Isn't it okay if I don't? Si Yunkin's expression became solemn. I'm afraid not. There seems to be people assigned here. If you don't join someone's sect, you can easily be bullied by other gods. And my ancestor said that the world of gods is not as easy as it seems. Becoming a disciple of a strong man is the best way for the new to survive. Okay, I understand, I'll take a look when the time comes. Nangang Yuran looked at her clothes and said, Xiao Qinjian, your clothes don't seem simple. Mu Qinjian lowered her head and glanced. It's just a piece of clothing made of relatively good material, nothing more. He raised his sword and slashed lightly, leaving no trace at all. This is also a cassock. She picked up the sleeve and touched it. If it weren't for the cassock that was damaged by you, this would be the clothes Xian gave me. He said in embarrassment, Hey, it's not bad, otherwise I would have been in trouble. Si Yunkin looked at the reckless and impulsive man and shook his head helplessly. Let's go. Today is the birthday banquet of His Majesty the Emperor of Heaven. As new gods, we must go there as soon as possible, otherwise other gods will have objections to us. The 3 of them went to the divine courtyard together, and after going through many gates and gods, they entered the divine courtyard. The gatekeeper gods looked at their tokens, turned around and shouted, The 3 new gods of the immortal ancient realm have arrived. Everyone looked up and looked at these 3 new gods. Seeing how young they were, they knew they would achieve great success in the future. Several great gods were also very interested in them. The 3 respectful hands joined together, holding the big token and saluting, Little God, pay homage to His Majesty the Emperor of Heaven. His Majesty the Emperor of Heaven stroked his beard happily, Haha, okay, there is no need to be polite, 3 gods. Welcome to the God realm. You can find a seat and sit down wherever you like. Thank you, His Majesty the Emperor of Heaven. The 3 of them walked to the last row and sat down, no longer talking. Everyone present began to talk a lot, and they were all curious about whose disciple these 3 new gods would join. At this time, the gatekeeper shouted again, The white goddess and the white goddess have arrived, and the goddess by have arrived. Everyone's eyes turned to the goddess of heaven and goddess. She was indeed the most beautiful woman in the god realm. End of this chapter. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 177. Chapter 177 shocked the audience. While everyone was shocked by the beauty of the goddess Tianling goddess, the gatekeeper god continued to shout, Master Yushenzun and Master Si Shenzun are here. The goddesses raised their heads one after another, admiring their handsome faces with shy eyes. After all, for such excellent gods as they are, the goddess does not admire them. Shengu Shenzhen has arrived. At this time, everyone stood up respectfully and said, "Welcome to the Heavenly Lord." Han Yexuan waved his hand and said, "No need to salute. Today is the birthday banquet of the Emperor of Heaven. Just treat me as an ordinary god." The Emperor of Heaven laughed loudly. "Tianzun, you are joking. It is my greatest honor that you are willing to attend my birthday banquet. Tianzun, you can sit here and I can sit aside." He walked directly to Si Yunkin and sat down near them. "The Emperor of Heaven does not need to be polite, I can just sit here." The Emperor of Heaven nodded politely and smiled, "Okay, as long as you like it." Tianling goddess Ji Yunyan raised her head slightly and glanced at Han Yexuan with admiration in her eyes. Si Yunkin stared at her, with a hint of sadness at the corner of his mouth, and drank the wine in the glass in one gulp. Yu Minjai looked helpless when he saw his sad look. Emotions are indeed troublesome. The Emperor of Heaven said happily, "Today is not only my birthday banquet, but also 3 young new gods who have arrived in our god realm. Who are these 3 new gods willing to worship, and who is willing to accept them as disciples?" Beishan Tianzun glanced at Nangang Yuran and Si Yunkin. "I am very optimistic about them. Are you willing to come under my sect and become my disciples?" The heavenly thunder god smiled and said, "Haha, Beishan Tianzun, I am very optimistic about them. So I dare to ask them, I wonder if you are willing to join my sect." Everyone is so eager to accept the 2 new gods, the old will also give it a try. The 2 young friends would like to be the old god's disciples. Lord Tianling stroked his long beard and said with a smile. The gods looked at the several great gods vying for the 2 new gods, and they all looked envious. After all, no matter who they chose, their status would be very high from now on. When everyone thought that the 2 of them would choose Beishan Tianzun or Tianli Shenzhen, they did not choose one of the 3 of them. Si Yunkin said with an apologetic look, "I'm very sorry, and I would like to thank you all for your love." Si Yunkin, the little god, wants to become a disciple of Si Nanju, the of heaven. Beishan Tianzun had a stern look on his face. "What is your relationship with Si Shenzhen? Why do you want to join his disciples? You must know that Si Shenzhen does not accept disciples." Si Nanju put down his wine glass and said, "What are you talking about, Beishan Tianzun? This little has said that he wants to become my disciple, so you should just give up. I will make an exception today and accept him as my disciple." He said angrily, "Si Shenzhen has not taken any disciples for thousands of years. I want to take disciples today. Why do you need to steal other people's disciples today?" Si Nanju shook his head and sighed, "No, no, he is a disciple and grandson of our family. If he doesn't enter our temple, he will have to go to other temples." Beishan Tianzun looked unhappy. "Then why didn't you say earlier that he was from your Si family and let us deliberately rob people here? Do you think it's funny?" "White God Tianzun, you have misunderstood me again. Didn't he say that he wants to worship me as his teacher, but you always can't hear it?" He glared at Nangang Yuran angrily and said angrily, "Whose family do you want to join, and whose descendants will you be?" Nangang Yuran swallowed his saliva. Why did this Tianzun seem to want to eat him? He looked at Yu Minjai and said pitifully, "Well, I want to worship you God as my teacher, is that okay?" Beishan Tianzun was instantly angry and said, "It's up to you, as long as you don't regret it." Yu Minjai nodded and said, "Okay, you will be my direct disciple today, Yu Minjai, don't worry, no one will dare to bully you." He immediately giggled and said, "Thank you, Master, you must protect me. I am only in my 20s, and I am still a child here." Yu Minjai looked at him, regretting that he had spoken so loudly. He always felt that accepting him as a disciple would cause a lot of trouble. Everyone glanced at Mu Qingjian, and saw that the difference in divine power between the two of them was huge. There are not that many people who want to accept her as a disciple now. In addition, she is wearing a mask and does not even dare to show her face, so the great gods are even more afraid to be interested. At this time, the heavenly spirit goddess Ji-Yunyan looked at her and said, "I don't accept disciples, but you can come to my temple and become a goddess. Are you willing?" She looked at her and realized that being her goddess was equivalent to being a maid. She had never been anyone else's maid. How could she, a daughter of the Mu family, be a maid? In her bones, she would not allow herself to bow her head. "I'm sorry to the goddess of heaven, but I, Mu Kinjian, will not be anyone's goddess." Just when Ji Yuyuan was about to say that he would accept her as his disciple, she suddenly stood up. She looked straight at Han Yexuan and said, "The little wants to worship God Gu Tianzun as his teacher. I would like to ask if Tianzun is willing to accept me as his disciple." As soon as he said this, everyone laughed. "You little is so ambitious. The goddess of God is willing to accept you into her section. Letting you become a goddess is already a step down for you. But you are ungrateful and actually want the God of God to accept you as a disciple. Your ambition is too great." Ji Yunyan smiled and said, "It's okay if you don't want to enter my temple, but you have to know that Zhengu Tianzun has never accepted a disciple for 5,000 years. It is even more impossible to accept a woman as a disciple, so why do you bother yourself?" Bai Suiya glared at her, "You little are so brave. You deserve to be accepted by the heavenly Lord as his disciple. What a beautiful idea." The gods discussed one after another, "This woman is too wishful thinking, and her ambition is so great, it's too bad." Mu Kinjian was not angry but smiled and said, "What you said doesn't count. I'm asking the ancient god, not all the great gods." Several great gods were trembling with anger, "You little are so brave. Why do you think that God ancient heavenly Lord is willing to make an exception and accept you as a disciple?" Han Yexuan suddenly said, "Okay, from today on you will be my Han Yexuan's apprentice." As soon as these words came out, the gods were shocked. The ancient actually accepted a disciple. Bai Suiyu said with a look of surprise, "What? Brother Xian, you were unwilling to accept me as your disciple 1,000 years ago, how could you accept this woman as your disciple?" Ji Yunyan's expression changed. She didn't expect that he would accept this masked woman as his disciple. "I just saw her wearing a mask, and I didn't like her. That's why she wanted to accept her as her goddess and did not consider accepting her as her disciple. Unexpectedly, she didn't care about being her own goddess, and even wanted to be his apprentice. She thought she would become a joke, but it turned out that she was the one who became the joke." Han Yexuan looked at her and said, "From today on, she, Mu Kinjian, is my direct disciple. If anyone dares to bully her and humiliate her, they should consider whether they can withstand my anger." Now all the gods dare not speak. Offending her is equivalent to offending God Gu Tianzun. There is no need. Mu Kinjian is also famous in the god realm tonight. Everyone knows that the ancient god has accepted a disciple for the first time in 5,000 years, and she is a female disciple. End of this chapter. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 178. Chapter 178, Jealous Again. In this way, this time the Emperor of Heaven's birthday banquet became Mu Kinjian's home field. The gods thought that she was uttering wild words and that it was impossible, but they were all slapped in the face. She will be the first disciple accepted by Zhengu Tianzun. You must know that 3,000 years ago, the goddess Tianzun Ji Yunyan also wanted to become his teacher, but he threatened not to accept female disciples or disciples. Today, 3,000 years later, he suddenly accepted this woman of unknown origin and weak divine power as his disciple. It simply broke their imagination, it was incredible. It wasn't until after the birthday party, when Mu Kinjian left behind Han Yexuan, that they dared to believe that he had really accepted a disciple. Bai Suiyu burst into tears. "Dad, why can that masked woman be accepted as a disciple by Brother Xian? Why?" Beishan Tianzun pulled her back directly. "Why are you crying? Don't you think I've embarrassed you enough?" Ji Yunyan stood alone next to the sacred flower pond, her face extremely pale. "Am I not worthy of being his disciple? What makes this woman? Is her strength higher than mine? Why can't he see her excellence and goodness?" She clenched her fists, feeling full of grievance and unwillingness. Si Nanja slowly walked up to her. "Why are you doing this? You clearly know that Xian won't like you." Ji Yunyan raised her head. "I have been following him for 3,000 years. I have worked so hard to let him know that I am worse than anyone else. There is a goddess in this world who has cultivated to my status. Who knows the suffering I have suffered? I love him so much, but he never looked back at me. Do you think I am also very pitiful and a failure? I don't think so, but I still hope you can go back 1,000 years ago, when we were so good you left us suddenly. Why did you do this?" She smiled sadly and said, 1,000 years ago, I said I loved him, but he ruthlessly said it was impossible for us. I humbly begged him, but he rejected me like an unintentional person. I paid so much for him, so it's okay to stay with him. It wasn't me who wanted to leave 1,000 years ago, it was him who wanted to drive me away. It's my fault that I fell in love with him." Si Nanja's expression was solemn. "You know, you can't be tempted by him when you enter his temple. It's taboo to be tempted by your master. You know that he will never leave anyone who admires him by his side, but you insist on saying it, so how can you blame him?" Ji Yunyan sneered. "More than 1,000 years have passed, what's the use of talking about it now? Si Nanja, do you love me? Then tell me who Mu Qingjian is. Why did he suddenly accept her as his disciple? This is simply it's not his style, he won't suddenly accept an unknown woman as his apprentice." He saw her jealous eyes and felt something unspeakable deep in his heart. "I have loved you, but do you think this is still important? You are now the woman of the original Tianzun. Don't you think it is ironic for you to ask this?" Her eyes were slightly averted. "Who are you listening to? How could I be the woman of the original Tianzun? Do you think you can hide it? We all know what you and the original Tianzun did. I am very disappointed in you. I hope you love yourself and respect yourself, Ji Yunyan. I admit that I loved you, but I loved you thousands of years ago. I can't love you anymore. You don't have to ask anything from me anymore, just do it yourself. Don't lose yourself because of love." After saying this, Si Nanju left. Ji Yunyan said angrily, "This is what you said about loving me. Isn't your love very cheap? What can you say to me? You men are all so heartless. I hate you, Simon." Si Nanja showed a bitter smile. "It doesn't matter. When you used me to get seriously injured, my love for you was gone." Looking at his leaving figure, she could no longer control her tears. "What love is, it's just a word. I, Ji Yunyan, don't care about your love, Si Nanju. There are so many people who love me, and you are not missing." Yu Minjai walked up to her and said, "Ji Yunyan, people like you don't deserve Ju's love. You are the greediest woman I have ever seen. After all, you fell in love with Ju. One day you will understand that you missed someone who loves you. Those who love you, how many people can be like Ju, and you will lose everything you have now." She couldn't listen to what they said at all, and she was obsessed with her own worldview. Seeing that she still looked like this, Yu Minjai walked away without hesitation. Mu Qingjian followed him back to the room, and she sat aside angrily. Han Yexuan saw her like this, took off his mask, walked to her and sat down next to her. "Qing what's wrong with you? I did something wrong. Please tell me and I will change it." She snorted coldly. God, how could I be wrong? How dare I say it's your fault? Right? Brother Xian. Ft. Qing how jealous are you? I'm not familiar with them. After saying that, he quickly picked her up. She turned around and raised her head. Then she still calls you Brother Xian, brother, and who is that deity, heavenly spirit, and goddess? The way she looks at you is not the admiration of an ordinary woman. Han Yexuan rubbed her head. I have no feelings for her. She was once my subordinate, but she suddenly confessed to me 1,000 years ago. So I kicked her out because I would not allow my subordinates to. She has a strange feeling for me. And Si Nanju likes her, so I can't even have anything to do with her. Not to mention Bai Suiyu, she is just because I saved her once when she was young. That's going to happen. I'm telling the truth. Can Qing not be angry now? Mu Qingjian hugged his neck and put her head under his neck. You are my husband, and you can only be mine. So you have to be obedient and don't mess with women, you know. He smiled fondly. Okay, I will always be Qing and no one can take it away. Are you happy now? She raised her head and smiled sweetly. Happy, he. He kissed her forehead affectionately. My silly Qing don't ever be angry with outsiders again, especially other women. Because it's not worth knowing? My Qing is unique, and my heart can only accommodate you. One person, she has nothing to do with me. Then it's normal for me to be jealous. After all, I care about you and love you so much. Her beautiful big eyes looked at him so charmingly that he couldn't help but kiss her eyes. Okay, I'll stay away from those women from now on, so that my Qing won't be jealous. Okay, it's a deal. The two embraced each other so sweetly and happily that Yan couldn't help but hug Mu Yinhan tightly. Daughter-in-law, when do you think the mistress and the master will marry each other and have a baby? How can you grow up and when can I marry you home? Mu Yinhan held the Dragon Emperor ginseng in her little hands and ate it happily. She said cutely, Mother, doesn't she already have a baby like me? So there is no need to give birth. And I have grown up long ago, you don't have to marry me back home. And Yan sighed helplessly, looking at his 3-year-old daughter-in-law, who would have another 1,000 years to pursue her in the future. What should I do if my wife is too young? I can only raise her by myself. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 179. Chapter 179, First Arrival in the Demon World. Mu Qingjian leaned in his arms and saw him when she opened her eyes. Morning, Xian, aren't you busy today? Han Yexuan hugged her and said, Good morning, Qing. I'm not busy today. Do you want to continue sleeping for a while? No, by the way, you were injured, weren't you? Are you feeling better now? It's okay Qing, don't worry. Don't lie to me. He rubbed her head helplessly. How dare I lie to you? The three of you may be assigned by the Emperor to do some tasks today, but Qing, you have to pay attention to your safety, you know. Okay, I will pay attention to safety, don't worry about me, my strength is not as bad as you think. Mu Qingjian changed her clothes and went to meet the two of them. Nangang Yuran waved after seeing her. Xiao Qing, you're here, let's go. My master said that as new gods, we all need to do tasks, and I don't know what tasks there are. You'll know when you go there, let's go. When the three people came to the divine court, the little paid homage to the Emperor of Heaven. The Emperor of Heaven smiled and said, Let's all live together. Today is your first day as a priest, and there are some tasks that need to be assigned to you. The three of you need to pretend to go to the demon realm to see what the demon realm is doing. After all, you are the new gods, no one in the demon world knows you. The three of them accepted the mission and were sent to the passage of the demon world by a divine king. Several people were transferred to the demon world and changed places in the blink of an eye. Mukinjian raised her head and looked at the sky. The unfamiliar surroundings and forests were all around her, and she was sent to the depths of the demonic beast forest in the demonic world. She also appeared in the forest when she first arrived in the immortal realm, and it is the same now. Looking at this dark and mysterious place, she became more cautious. After all, it was a place belonging to the demon clan, so she had better be careful. Summoned Dandan and jumped on its back. Egg, let's be careful, the demon world is a dangerous place, let's run to the north. Look around for Sci-Yunkin and Nangang Yuran. Good master. The giant devil dog with Huge was running quickly and nimbly in the dense forest. Nine foxes, Snow White Nine-tailed White Fox, jumped quickly on the tree, following closely behind them. Bingfeng has been advancing recently, so he is now practicing in space. Suddenly Juhu and Dandan stopped and said, Master, there seems to be something in front of me, it seems to be a monster. Mukinjian looked at the huge strange black snake in front of her. It was completely different from ordinary snakes. The shiny scales were like steel. Black smoke was blowing out of his mouth, and his huge red eyes were looking at her greedily. Then he immediately launched an attack on her. The black venom fell directly on the spot where she had just stood. This snake also has corrosive venom. What kind of monster is it? Dandan Juhu, be careful not to get it, she said nervously. Okay master, let's go first. Master, please be careful. Juhu jumped on the back of the black snake and gave it a claw. The result was that the hit on it had the effect of lightning. Dandan saw that Juhu had only hurt its fur, and quickly stepped forward to help. A dog and a fox fought it fiercely, but they still only injured it externally and could not kill it at all. The giant snake was angered, and it spit out deadly venom desperately, swaying its huge snake tail, trying to throw the 9 foxes out of its body. Seeing that she couldn't kill it, Mukinjian asked Dandan and Juhu to step back. The 2 spiritual pets quickly retreated behind her, and the black snake sprayed venom angrily. She quickly used her spiritual power to gather thunder and lightning, and the huge purple lightning struck at the black snake. A roaring sound was heard, and black smoke erupted from the black snake's body, and it fell to the ground motionless. Because in the demon world, she cannot use divine power, otherwise she will get into big trouble. She looked at the black snake, who was heartbroken to see it finally dead, and took a few steps back in exhaustion. The monsters in this demon world are so strong, they are probably at the same level as a divine beast. I don't know how Nangang Yuran and Sci-Yunkin are doing, or whether they are in danger. She knew that they suddenly came to the Warcraft forest in the demon realm. The Great must have deliberately left them here, fearing that he wanted all 3 of them to die here. Dandan immediately stepped forward and let Mukinjian lean against him. She stroked it. I'm fine, my spiritual power is just a little exhausted. Juhu looked at the strange dead black snake and felt that something was attracting him. The huge fox claws dug into the black snake's belly. A fist-sized crystal clear black crystal glowed with black light in its claws. She steadied herself and looked at the black crystal in the 9 fox claws. Jumping on Dandan's back, Dandan Juhu, let's go quickly, there's another monster coming nearby. Dandan immediately ran forward with Mukinjian. Juhu picked up the strange crystal stone and followed closely behind her. Where he left, a group of ferocious dark demon wolves ate up the black snake. The leading one-eyed dark demonic wolf sniffed the air and showed its sharp teeth. Ouch! A group of wolves ran towards Mukinjian in the direction she left. She looked back and saw something behind her that had not yet caught up. She breathed a sigh of relief for a moment. Now that she had just arrived here, she was fighting with the strange snake again, and her spiritual power was exhausted. Because she was in the demon world, she had no spiritual power to recover immediately, so she could only recover slowly on her own. After all, This is the demon world, and the air is filled with thick demonic aura. Once she inhales the demonic aura, it will be troublesome. Now that her spiritual power is exhausted, it is not a good thing for her. Mukinjian made Dandan stop and jumped off its back. Let them change shape. At her strong request, they transformed into an ordinary white fox and little black dog. She held them in one hand and quickly shuttled between the trees. Until he got rid of the dark demon wolf that was no longer following him, he flew to a platform on the edge of the cliff and put down Dandan and Juhu. Juhu held up the crystal in his hand and said, "Master, this is the crystal core of the monster. Can this be used for cultivation?" She picked up the crystal core on Juhu's claw. "We won't use this for now. We haven't understood the crystal core of the demon beast clearly yet, and it is not the same type as the spirit beast. Let's go into space and eat something to let our spiritual power recover. I feel hungry." As mythical beasts, they can actually eat or not. But since being with Mukinjian, I have already become accustomed to eating spiritual food. Dandan and Juhu separated in space to look for their favorite food. After a while, Dandan bit a gale rabbit, while Juhu caught a blazing black bird. Fortunately, when she was in the immortal realm, she caught a lot of spiritual beasts in the space, so there was basically no shortage of spiritual beasts to eat in the space. After all, at that time, Dandan, Juhu, and the others liked to bring their favorite spiritual beasts to the space every day. Nowadays, many spiritual beasts have been bred in space, and their appetites are also huge, so there is no fear of the proliferation of spiritual beasts in space. End of this chapter. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 180. Chapter 180 Unifying the Three Realms. Mu Xin Chen walked to her side and said, "Sister, take me with you when you go out later. I can also protect you now." "Okay, I understand, I promise you." He smiled happily, "Thank you, sister. We are a family. We must protect ourselves when we go out. After all, this is the demon world, not the ancient world." He nodded and said, "I understand, sister." Mukinjian quickly processed the ingredients, put them on the wooden rack, and kept turning them. As time goes by, the aroma of barbecue comes out completely. Dandan and Juhu sat on the side with happy faces, their mouths watering. After all, the meat cooked by spirit beasts is so fragrant, they can hardly wait anymore. She took out a dagger at random and cut 2 large portions and 2 small portions. He handed the small portions of barbecue to Mu Xin Chen and himself. The remaining large portions were theirs, and they happily ate their portions. After washing his paws after eating and drinking, Juhu transformed into his own body and absorbed spiritual energy in space. Because Dandan is a demon dog, the demonic energy from the demon world is harmless to it, but it is also useless. It had just eaten the soul of the strange snake and had long since recovered its original strength. Mukinjian stepped out of the space and looked at the sky. Even the sky was so special. The bright stars were so huge. After looking at it for a while, she entered the space. After she rested in the space for a night, she took Dandan out of the space the next day. In order to avoid being discovered that Juhu was a mythical beast, she kept him in the space. There is no way anyone can tell it to be a divine beast and not suitable to appear in the demon world. Even if it is not happy, it can only obey me. And Dandan is a demon dog, and Mu Xin Chen is a mermaid and a demon, so their appearance will not attract anyone's attention. In this way, she continued to search for the whereabouts of Si Yunkin and Nangang Yuran. After all, they had no space and could not hide in the space. But she didn't know that the two of them had much better luck than she did. They landed on the outskirts of the demon world forest. The monsters they encountered were not powerful, so they quickly went out and were now waiting for her nearby. While she was looking for a way out, she saw a demon man hunting a demonic beast. Seeing that he could hardly defeat those monsters alone, she quickly came to the rescue. Soon the ground was covered with corpses of demon wolves. The remaining demon wolves tried to run away, but were killed by Mukinjian. The man came to her and clasped his fists in thanks. "Thank you, girl, for saving your life. I, Murongjan, am grateful." She saluted casually. "Young master, there is no need to be polite, it's just a matter of effort." Dandan covered his mouth and almost laughed. The master pretended to be an ancient man quite decently. But it doesn't know that she is an ancient person herself, so why does she need to pretend to be an ancient person? Murongjan looked at her and felt that she had no demonic aura, so he asked curiously, "Girl, are you immortal?" Mukinjian smiled and said, "Yes, I am a mortal cultivator." "I see, girl, this is your first time in the demon realm. The demons in the demon realm don't like immortal cultivators, so most immortal cultivators will disguise themselves as demons. It's rare for a mortal like you to appear here as an immortal cultivator." "Really, this is my first time in the demon world. I don't know much about it. How do I disguise myself as a demon?" Murongjan smiled and took out a ring from his storage bag. "This is the magic ring that can be disguised as a devil. I give it to you, girl. After all, you saved me just now." Mukinjian took the ring and said, "You're welcome then." "Thank you." Murongjan looked appreciatively. She was such a refreshing and unpretentious woman. "You don't need to be polite. After all, you saved me just now. How dare I ask the girl her name?" She smiled and said, "My name is Mukinjian." "It's a good name, it sounds nice." He looked appreciative. "Thank you for the compliment. Please tell me how to get out. I came here accidentally and couldn't find the way out for a while." He put away the monster in front of him and said, "I've just finished my training. Let me take you out with me." "Does the girl need the body of this monster?" "No, thank you, I'm really sorry for troubling you." After the two of them went out, they saw Sci-Yunkin and the others. She said goodbye to him and came to their side. Murongjan looked back at her and left. Nangang Yuran stepped forward and asked curiously, "Who is Xiao Qing? Why are you walking with a demon?" "It's not like I can't find a way out, so I just save someone and ask for a way out." "Why do you have the aura of a demon in your body?" Sci-Yunkin explained, "We also bought you one of the magic rings we bought earlier." "Why do you have the magic ring?" "This Lord's ring was given to the man I just saved. Let's go." After saying that, he brought Mu Xin Chen out. The two of them glanced at him and said, "Little Xin Chen has become stronger recently." He said shyly, "Brother, because I want to protect my sister, I want to become stronger." Sci-Yunkin rubbed his head, "You will become stronger and stronger, brother believes in you." Mukinjian hugged Dandan and said, "Xiao Chen, let's go in and see what this demon world is like." The three of them walked into the demon realm city, where there were all kinds of demons and demons. It seemed that the demons and demons had successfully merged together. A group of 3 people came to an inn in the demon realm city. They ordered some dishes and sat quietly on chairs listening to the chat of these demons. "I spent several days changing places to collect news, and finally heard some meaningful news one day. A demon with a snake body and a human face said with a wicked smile, 'When do you think we, the demon lord, can take down the ghost world?' The demon shook his head, 'It's hard to say. The demon world is not as easy to win as the demon world, but once we win the ghost world, our demon world will be the strongest among the 3 realms.' The devil with a tiger body and a human face said, 'We, Lord Demon Lord, will definitely unify the 3 realms, and by then the divine realm will not be able to stand us. This ancient realm of gods will be changed into the realm of Mogu, and when the time comes, we demons will it's the strongest clan. Have you heard? In a few days, the demon lord will lead us monsters and demons to attack the ghost world. I heard that the demon lord said that if their ghost world does not belong to our demon world, they will be destroyed directly. I've also heard about this, and it will be lively by then. Mukinjian and the other three heard such big news, and after staying there for another day, they determined that the demons would attack the ghost world in 3 days. A few people planned to return to the god realm and tell the Emperor of Heaven about this, but she chose to stay. Si Yunkin and Nangang Yuran didn't understand why she stayed. After all, their mission had been completed. You go back first, after all, staying here for too long is not good for both of you. I plan to go to the ghost world to have a look, and you go back first. Then take care of your own safety. We will tell the Emperor of Heaven the news first, and then we will come down to find you. Okay, please be safe, then I'll leave first. After Mukinjian left them, she took Mu Xing Chen and Dandan to the ghost world. End of this chapter.